four-way dogfight for the only two home playoff dates available. Winnipeg begins the second half on a two-game win streak here tonight.
The Stampeders begin the second half hoping to forget the turmoil of the first, where nothing went right. The Stamps are looking to bounce back after 5 straight losses.
It will be warm and windy in Winnipeg tonight, a pleasant 28 degrees, and the breeze southeast at 19.
Well, Coach Jim Barker has struggled every week and still hasn't found the winning combination. His offense has scored just 1 touchdown in the last 3 games, but he gets his quarterback back tonight. Marcus Crandall will see the field.
Winnipeg's Dave Ritchie is still trying to solve the Blue Bombers' offensive power shortage. After leading the league in most offensive categories a year ago, the Bombers have been inconsistent at best. Ready to kick it off. Westwood is behind this, bouncing down to Scott Divert and rolling out. So a procedure call against the Blue Bombers, and they'll kick it again.
Well, Jim Barker was being very cloak and dagger about who would be his starting quarterback, but he said all year that Marcus Crandall, if he's healthy, will start the game and play. Marcus Crandall is healthy enough to go, so Kevin Federick moves to the backup spot.
Kickoff. Winnipeg number 7. First down.
So Federick listed as the starter. Crandall said he was 90% yesterday. He has improved a little bit, one would guess, but he is ready to go. And the last time he was in a Stampeder uniform, Marcus Crandall was having a terrific night. Procedure against Winnipeg. The Stampeders take the ball, and Crandall fires almost complete. As Harold Nash stepped in front, Don Blair was the intended receiver. McDonald and Arlane are outside. Blair and Hundlin inside. McGarity is in, and Lawrence Phillips is back for the Calgary Stampeders. Up front, Steve Morley gets his second start. The All-Canadian Jay McNeil is right alongside with Crysdale in the middle.
#1 receiver for the Calgary Stampeders this year has been Darnell McDonald, 743 yards, and has added a couple of touchdowns.
Second and 10. Crandall looks confident. Same play, same results. This time Donaldson was covering.
Defensively for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, there's your front 7: Lamar McGriggs, Rylan Wickman, and Brian Clark in the linebacking core. The safety, Maurice Kelly is in at the safety for his 6th start of the season, and a newcomer, Marvin Coleman's missed a couple of games in the corner, so Dave Donaldson plays there. Tim Carter at halfback in his 2nd start for Milo Lewis.
Starting lineups brought to you by Tums. Tums tackles heartburn fast. Duncan O'Mahony is in. Charles Roberts is deep. 2 and out for the Stampeders. And the Bombers do a head count.
I think they had 12 out there, but did they have the right 12 out there? In fact, they had 12, not only 12, they have 13. Jim Barker talking before the game, and you know, the injury situation to Marcus Crandall was a question mark right up to game time, without a doubt. But he has said all year that Marcus Crandall will be the guy who he goes with and starts if he's healthy.
And it has taken a while for Crandall to get healthy.
4 weeks, as a matter of fact. Bombers actually had 13 on the field, John, so they called that timeout to avoid the penalty.
O'Mahony's punt. Down to Charles Roberts at the 10. Roberts takes a solid hit. A helmet-popping hit from the rookie safety, Jay Bose, who gets his first shot at a starting role tonight.
Well, Bose on the special teams, he comes down with reckless abandon, throws his head in there, and in fact loses it. It's a good hit and a good way to get started.
Joey Bose, the 5th starter listed for the Stampeders at safety so far this season. Big tackle there. The Bombers start, as a result, inside the Winnipeg 30. Lawrence Phillips, and there's nowhere for Phillips to go. Kelly Malvo stepping in to help out with the tackles there. Kahari Jones recorded 10 300-yard passing games last year In his first 9 games this season, he has only 2. Jones has 4 great players in his arsenal: Stiegel, Gordon, Roberts, and Sellers. And up front, the Bombers have struggled here. Alawanibi and Dave Mudge are the only true veterans along that Blue Bomber offensive line. Three-yard gain, 2nd and 7, and almost picked out.
Jason Bray almost had his 2nd interception of the season. Let's start up front with the front 7 over the Calgary Stampeders. Joe Fleming leads the Canadian Football League with 8 sacks after 9 games so far this year. He moves to the outside and plays the end position. And there are the defensive backs. Bray almost with the interception. Joey Boze, that nice hit on special teams to start things off for Calgary. Mr. Fleming with 8 sacks so far this year.
He is the league leader in that category.
Almost 1 per game.
Not deep by Westwood. McGarity takes it on the hop and draws the flag. So the Stampeders will start near the 35. Little return on that. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football from Winnipeg. It's been a tough beginning for Jim Barker as head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, beginning in week 1 with a tough loss to the Montreal Alouettes. There has been controversy swirling around this team, considering who should play quarterback has been the topic of conversation much of the time. So Jim Barker gets Marcus Crandall back in the lineup, and Federick will watch from the sidelines for starters, and so will Scott Milanovich. 1st and 10. Calgary here. Lawrence Phillips, and he bobbles the ball. Stampeders get it back. Lawrence Phillips running out of the Stampeder backfield for the first time in several weeks. Scott Regenbald coming up with the loose ball.
Well, and they got to get Lawrence Phillips involved. He's been practicing for the last 2 weeks. It looked like this handoff may have been a little bit high as it goes up in that shoulder pad area. Tough for the running back to take it from there. He's got to get it down low in the belly. But Lawrence Phillips' importance of this game cannot be overstated. When this Calgary Stampeder run the ball effectively, 2 wins, 151 yards, 7 losses. Look at that, 56. You got to have a running game.
Stampeders actually pick up a couple of yards, 2nd and 8. Crandall has his first completion out across midfield to about the 53.
Darnell McDonald on an outcut on the sideline, working on Ricky Bell. But Marcus Crandall right now is throwing with a tremendous amount of confidence. He started the game in the first 2 plays with 2 seam routes going right down the field. Now watch Darnell McDonald, stems him into the middle, breaks to the outside, and Ricky Bell, while he's in good position, can't get around the big body of Darnell McDonald.
4th leading receiver in the CFL at this stage. 51 catches coming in. 18-yard gain for the Stampeders. Crandall looking confident. McGarity makes the catch.
Well, he does look confident, John, and if the Calgary Stampeders are going to snap this 5-game losing streak, they're going to do it if they have Marcus Crandall playing the way he is, and he's got to step up and play with confidence like he has in this first series. There's no question the Calgary Stampeders are going to win and have success. They're going to do it with number 1. That first series, he went in there, 2 incompletions, but threw the ball well down the seam. Series number 2 now, he's got him moving.
A 12-yard gain. On the ground this time. Lawrence Phillips getting back into the lineup after suffering a hand injury in week number 3.
Well, he's practiced for a couple of weeks, and he is now ready to go. And you know, Saladin McCullough came in, and he's had 6 starts. And his first one against Hamilton had over 100 yards, looked pretty good. And it looked like Jim Barker had found the answer, at least a replacement temporarily for Lawrence Phillips. Didn't work out. McCullough's numbers dropped off drastically after that, and they need Phillips to be running at top form tonight.
Another 2nd and 8 situation facing Crandall. Time to get it away. He'll be well short of the first down, and the catch made on the far side by Lawrence Phillips.
You know, they're certainly in field goal range, which is a positive start for a team that has struggled over the last 5 weeks without a win, and really has 1 touchdown to show for the last 3 games. Now, this is going to be a field goal attempt, but certainly positive yardage, a couple of first downs. You could see the leadership of Marcus Crandall showing up early in this game.
Mark McLaughlin, good on 16 of 20, 80%. His longest, 57 yards. He missed his only try last week in the loss to BC. This will be spotted almost on the 45, and McLaughlin pounds it through as the Stampeders get a positive beginning, I'd say, to this one in Winnipeg.
Thanks to their starting quarterback.
Wendy's Friday Night Football from Winnipeg, an early start in Manitoba tonight. And the Calgary Stampeders get off to a decent beginning with a drive for a field goal. Marcus Crandall back in the lineup. The Bombers try and answer here. And the Winnipeg offense has really been a mystery this season.
Well, they got to get Milt Stegall more involved. He's got 586 yards. He does have 8 touchdowns, but yardage-wise, a slow start for Mr. Stegall.
From the 35, first down Winnipeg. Kahari Jones looks to put it up. Looks deep for Robert Gordon. Bumping down there. No flags. Robert Gordon starting as a slot back, and the last time we saw the Bombers, he was an outside receiver.
Paul Lapolice told me before the game that one way they're going to try and get the inside guys, Robert Gordon, and more specifically maybe Milt Stegall involved, is to try and go vertical with the football early and on first down, and maybe try and test Joe Bose in that safety position. Safety spot for Calgary has been a revolving door due to injuries. They played 5. Don't be surprised if Paul Lapolice tries to get Milt Stegall right down that seam and test that safety out.
Kahari Jones looks at 2nd and 10 from the Bomber 35. From the shotgun, and he'll get his first down. Ladarius Van goes up and brings it down.
Again, you want to try, if you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offensively, to attack the middle of the field right in here. The only reason being is the inexperience that will line up there tonight. Joe Bose, he's starting at safety. We've talked about that. And Otis Floyd has had to move and replace Alondra Johnson at the middle linebacker spot. Now, Floyd is a veteran of 4 years, but not at middle linebacker. They will test that inexperience.
The running game is not working for the Blue Bombers as Charles Roberts gets stuffed for the 2nd time.
You know, and one of the reasons Paul Lapolice mentioned to me about getting Milt Stegall down the vertical early and on first down, usually he said teams, what we've been doing in the past is running the football a lot on first down and then trying to go to Stegall on 2nd and long. Well, we know that we want to get to Stegall the ball, but so does the opposition defense. So they're double teaming Milt Stegall a bunch on 2nd down and long. So he's always faced double coverage. If they can try and get him on first down the seam, maybe they can make some big plays there.
No positive gain for Roberts, so this is 2nd and 10. Shotgun again. Jones unloads in a hurry. Out pattern, and he's got Stegall.
The other thing, John, it'll do for Milt Stegall, if on first down he's going to go straight down the seam, then on 2nd down he can now work his defensive back, in this case Kelly Malville, and work him on the short intermediate patterns. That one right there was a quick out. He goes down the field about 10-12 yards and breaks to the sideline. If on first down you're taking the defensive back deep, 2nd down you can work them underneath.
Gain is 17 yards for Stegall. Bombers inside Calgary territory. Mike Sellers first carry, and when you look at this Blue Bomber offense, it's hard to believe that they are not leading the league in points per game, with Sellers as another key player, Charles Roberts, of course, and then Stegall and Robert Gordon.
Yeah, and you know Charles Roberts will be featured. Gordon will play inside to get him a little closer to the quarterback, a little easier to get him the football from there. And don't rule out Mike Sellers. In fact, versus Ottawa, they're winning in week 9. Sellers was a big part of the picture there.
3-yard gain, 2nd and 7. Jones has time. Onto the cover, he's got Stoddard. And that'll be another Winnipeg first down. Jamie Stoddard gets involved.
know, Jamie Stoddard has started to become more and more involved. He's now in his 4th year, all 4 here with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and he's starting to find a comfort zone. And maybe more importantly, quarterback Kahari Jones is becoming more and more comfortable with him. And when you're comfortable with the receiver, you go to him in clutch situations more often.
Stoddard has his 12th catch of the season and sets the Bombers up inside the Stampeder 30. Big Mike Sellers, and good for 5 yards just about every time he touches the ball.
Calgary defensively now without Alondra Johnson in that middle. We'll have to look to guys like Joe Fleming up front for the leadership, and Jim Daly, defensive coordinator, relies on guys like Joe Fleming. They're going to have to look at Anthony Pryor and Davis Sanchez on the corners to try and pull in the secondary, and of course George White coming over from the Saskatchewan Roughriders a couple of years ago and his free agent tryout in Green Bay. Got to get some leadership from other positions on the field.
2nd and 6, Blue Bombers. Here comes the heat. Kahari Jones releases, has Roberts, and he'll get the first down. Demetrius Maxey coming through to put the pressure on Kahari Jones. He got it away and got his first down.
Demetrius Maxey's number 91 right here. He's right up in that line. He's working on the outside. He gets whipped, but the reason that he was allowed to go free and Kahari Jones gave up so much yardage is because they were setting up that screen. In the screen, they want the D-line to get through there.
An 8-yard gain for Charles Roberts. First down Winnipeg, and Roberts takes the handoff this time. Squirting to the outside. Stopped at about the 12.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the red zone this year, 12 field goals, and they'd like to turn at least half of those into touchdowns. They look a lot better in the overall. You know, it's interesting when you look at that 6-3 record for this Winnipeg football team. By their own admission, they're wondering how it's 6-3, which is interesting. It's maybe a team looking for some kind of confidence at 6-3 and tied for first. You wonder why.
10th play of the drive. Flags are down. Kahari Jones to the end zone for Gordon. Oh, he makes the catch. There were flags down before the play.
Whoa, what a catch. That's why you move, Charles. That's why you move Gordon inside.
Calgary 76. Decline.
Touchdown. It'll stand. Joe Fleming outside. Gordon's touchdown will count.
Yeah, Robert Gordon moves inside, get him closer to the quarterback. It's going to come to the left of your screen. Look at Kahari Jones looks off. He looks all the way to his left, to the right side of the defense, goes backside, and Gordon comes up with a huge catch.
An 11-play drive. That's the Bombers' first points. Kahari Jones with the touchdown toss. Robert Gordon makes his 4th touchdown reception of the year. Robert Gordon has the first touchdown of the evening as the Bombers solve one of the problems they've been having, converting trips to the score zone into points.
Hey, Bobby, that was gorgeous. That's, of course, his nickname.
James Hunden is deep as one of the Stampeder returners. This one coming short for Scott Divert, who bowls over one Blue Bomber tackler, Ricky Bell, and steps out after an 11-yard return.
First things first, Kahari Jones needs time to get this ball to Robert Gordon on the outside. You see a 4-man rush and 6 in to protect. Kahari has tons of time to throw the football. I want to show you, though, Robert Gordon. Watch how he never shows that the ball is going to arrive. He keeps his arm low, keeps his arms pumping. At the very last second, bam, he sticks up his hands and sticks a fork in that football. Let's just wait until the last second and not giving away when the ball will arrive to the defensive back.
15th touchdown pass tossed by Kahari Jones this season. Marcus Crandall tries to answer. Nobody home.
Darnell McDonald, John, got all tied up there with Ricky Bell, and he never really got a chance to get into his timing pattern. Bell came up, played aggressively. It's a nice matchup to take a look at right now. That's Calgary Stampeders' #1 receiver coming into this game, Darnell McDonald, the 3-year veteran Ricky Bell on that corner.
McDonald is 4th overall in receiving in the CFL this season. When you look at the standings, it's rather interesting to see Milt Stegall sitting down the list at number 7. 2nd and 10. Here's a target. It's Phillips, and Lawrence Phillips makes the catch. Lost his hat. Slams it down.
He has to be a little careful about the possibility of a taunting call at the end of that one, but a nice play call because Darnell McDonald is going to come inside and draw the coverage with him. When he comes inside from the wide receiver position, then Lawrence Phillips slipped out in man-to-man coverage, had a one-on-one on Lamar McGrakes, the linebacker.
Lawrence Phillips is back in the Stampeder lineup. A 25-yard gain. Marcus Crandall is back as well. Lost the ball. Stripped by Benefield. To the end zone. He's gone. David Benefield. Touchdown, Blue Bombers.
David Benefield may be having his best year as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber. From the right of your screen, comes all the way around the horn and just pops the ball out of the right hand of Marcus Crandall as he's trying to deliver it. Gets a nice bounce right to him. And not bad speed, Mr. Benefield, down that sideline.
David Benefield, a 50-yard fumble return touchdown. Quick turn of events. After the Stampeders had moved the ball out past midfield rather impressively. David Benefield makes the play, takes it on the first hop, and he's gone. David Benefield playing with renewed confidence this season, an All-Canadian in 1999. Currently tied for 3rd among the sack leaders, and here's his biggest play of 2003.
You really can't fault Jeff Pilon on the play. The right tackle, you see how he forces him high into the outside, and Crandall had just slid over in the pocket about 1.5 yards, and it was enough for Benefield to get that hand out there and just knock the ball clear out of his hands. Crandall had no idea Benefield was that close. Defensive linemen don't get to do that kind of thing very often, where they get that one hop and then the high step,
into the
Heisman looking thing into the end zone.
Crandall didn't see him coming.
He is having himself a year. David Benefield leads the Bombers with 6 sacks. Up in that category, has provided leadership, and now he comes up with a big play in this one early on.
Bombers may have to make some adjustments along the offensive line. Mo Elawanivi, the starting center, was shaken up on the convert. Troy Westwood ready for another kickoff. Scott Dybert lost the ball. Right to Osterhaus. And Brian Clark likely caused it.
Well, the Bombers are getting big plays from all phases. We've seen one on offense with Robert Gordon, one on defense with David Benefield. And now here comes the teams. They want to contribute as well. Dybert cuts to his left, is hit right there. The ball's still in there. Wade Miller coming across his face. Looked like he got his right arm across the ball. As he battles down the field, pops out of there and recovered on the play by John Osterhaus.
So the Bombers are set up again. definitely in scoring range on the Stampeders side of the field. Nice play action fake. And Kahari Jones on the money again for another first down. Bill Stiegel makes the catch. The doubleheader continues with the Ticats looking for win number 1 against the Lions. Right after we're done here, and the Lions have been red hot lately, currently in that log jam atop the CFL West and sitting in first place at 6-3.
It is interesting in that Western Division.
Oscar, go! Back 90! Back 90!
Charles Roberts for about 3.
You know, you need some big plays in a football game. Coaches will tell you it's usually 5 or 6 to determine the outcome, and Dave Ritchie's already seen a couple come his way.
2 or 3 have gone the Bombers' way.
Robert
Right?
Gordon, nice catch in the end zone. He won that battle, and then David Benefield on defense, and then the fumble here. We'll see if Kahari Jones can capitalize on that on the teams.
Should be the last play of the opening quarter. It's belonged to the Bombers so far. And Jones finishes off with a strike to Milt Stiegel again. Another Blue Bomber first down. And the Bombers have a couple of touchdowns on the board already and threaten to add more.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns for the Bombers, 1 from their offense, 1 from their defense. David Benefield, and Calgary's in a hole right away, and that's a big hole to climb out of for a guy like Marcus Crandall, who hasn't played since week 5, back on July 19th. So the question Stamps fans are asking you guys, how did he look in that first quarter?
No way is he ready to play football. That hamstring is still bothering him. You saw it on the fumble where he had to reach to Lawrence Phillips. Bad technique by Phillips, but also watch the extension in the arm. He's flat-footed right now. He can't get there. You're going to see Crandall stay in the shotgun. He's not going to move around very much. He's not going to sprint out. He's not going to do anything but be in a stationary position. And boy, can Winnipeg take advantage of an immobile quarterback, John.
Well, Schultz, I think Calgary's had a few bad breaks to start off here.
Sure.
But I like the way they started the football game, and in particular, one play caught my eye, and that's the play to Wayne McGarity. They welcome this guy back, and thank goodness. I love the way he goes inside here, and then he goes outside. This gets Carter running the wrong way and just turns him around. Now, I like this from Crandall. Crandall says, you know what? Hey, my bad. I threw that ball too low. That's the guy showing some leadership here. His guy was wide open. He threw the ball low, didn't give him a chance to get some yards after the catch, Matty.
Yeah, Marcus Crandall definitely gives the Stampeders the best possibility of winning tonight, regardless of whether he's 80, 85%. Schultz, if, instead of just pushing back from the center, give him the toss. Just toss the ball from the center, and I think that'll certainly help it out and give Phillips the opportunity to catch the football. Hey, Kahari Jones is sitting behind the worst offensive line in the league, giving up 31 sacks. Look at this second and long situation here. Fleming's living in his lap. Ball goes high to Stoddard. Now they get protection from Kahari Jones. This is a critical drive, and look at the difference. Kahari Jones delivers. He's got nobody in front of him. Whoa. He hits Stoddard for a first down, and then eventually Gordon for a touchdown, answering Calgary's field goal with the score. Then Benefield comes up with a big play, Dave, and then special teams gets a big play, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers got the fans back in it, and they're on a roll.
And David Benefield was talking in the media this week about how veterans on this Bomber team have got to step up, lead the way, so he was putting his money where his mouth is. His second career touchdown, and the Bombers are looking for more. Let's take it back there now for the second quarter. John, Glenn, guys.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns for the Blue Bombers in the opening quarter. They threaten to add another one here with the wind at their backs and a first down inside the Calgary 20. Charles Roberts, his biggest run of the game, down to the 5.
Well, he doesn't need much room, does he? He just squirted through that little hole. Look at the numbers after a quarter of play. The biggest difference right here. Turnovers. Turnovers turn into points more times than not. That's why the Calgary Stampeders are down 14-3.
And that's why the Bombers are set up where they are right now. First and goal to go from inside the 5 after a 13-yard run from Charles Roberts. First and goal to go, Winnipeg. Sellers gets the call. 260 pounds of Mike Sellers stopped short of the goal line, but he has about 4 yards there.
Well, there's change of direction, and then there's giving a little bit of different look. Here's the first look. This is the little guy, Charles Robertson. He squirts through a hole that's probably only about 6 inches wide. And then they say, okay, on the very next play, we're going to take the little guy, move him out of there, and we're going to go to the big guy, 280 pounds. We'll just hand it to him, and he'll slam it up in there.
Well, Charles Roberts' hips are a little narrower than Mike Sellers, are they not? Second and goal to go. Blue Bombers set up at the 1.
Oh, I don't know.
Sellers again, and they call it touchdown Winnipeg.
Second effort.
He was stopped initially, but he bowled his way across.
There is a flag down after the fact. I believe this touchdown will stand, though. Calgary Stampeders took off, they laid out, and they lost all leverage when they did that. Guys going up over the top. Over the top, looks good, and you can make contact, but you got nothing to brace yourself.
Face mask. Calgary number 38 will apply 15 yards on the kickoff.
Nothing going right for the Calgary Stampeders head coach, Jim Barker.
Face mask will be assessed on the kickoff.
Bombers quickly into a 21-3 lead, and the Calgary Stampeders second quarter barely underway.
Look at that rock. That's decomposing granite. Son, you see that? Look at that. You're not going to see another.
There are many ways down the mountain. Choose wisely. Downhill domination. Rated T for teen.
Wendy's Friday Night Football belongs to the Blue Bombers so far.
Well, Charles Roberts, it's all from the backfield on this one. Charles Roberts gets it started. Nice little run right in the middle as he dances between some real small holes.
For 13 yards there, then a couple for Sellers.
He slams it up in there hard, and then Sellers on second effort. When you leave your feet defensively, you lose leverage. And it was a second effort from Sellers, who kept on pushing.
Did kickoff. Scott Dybert fumbled moments ago. He has it again, and there's nowhere to go on the far side as Blue Bombers special teams are fired up as well. Leading the tacklers there, Joe Morgan, a rookie out of Florida.
Marcus Crandall has to get 2 or 3 first downs together and slow down this Winnipeg momentum. And he is best suited to do that with his experience. No question, I agree with Matty. At 85 or 90%, I truly believe he gives Calgary the best chance to win. Kevin Federick, 2 or 3 years, may be a good quarterback in this league, but at this point, he's still not ready.
Calgary has to win now with only 2 wins on the season. Crandall looks down the far side. McDonald comes down with it. What a great catch. And they say he stayed inbounds. Darnell McDonald.
That great matchup, John, we talked about, and here it is for you folks. Ricky Bell trying to play aggressively. See that little stop move there by Darnell McDonald. It gives him a little move like he's going to run the out and then goes down the field. 2 veteran players that are battling out right now. Ricky Bell's in good position, but McDonald won the battle.
For a 36-yard gain, and that gets Calgary out of a deep hole. On the Stampeders' first possession of the second quarter. Lawrence Phillips.
Well, Ricky Bell, 1 interception on the season and has been the only Bomber in the secondary to play all 9 games against Darnell McDonald. And there's a size mismatch too. You see that Darnell McDonald is 6'3", 200 pounds basically. Ricky Bell at 5'11", so McDonald has a bit of a height advantage. You saw it a little bit on that deep ball.
Second and 6. Crandall onto the cover. Lawrence Phillips Stopped short of the first down. Close enough to measure.
Well, quarterback has been certainly the problem area for Jim Barker. As you can see, the four quarterbacks that the Calgary Stampeders have used this year. Marcus Crandall against the Montreal Alouettes, when he did get hurt, was really starting to hit a groove. That first half of football, he put together a lot of those numbers you see right there and was really rolling, then pulled his hamstring.
Third down. Inches to go for a Calgary first down. Across midfield, no penalty markers, and this drive will continue for Calgary. Looking back to Marcus Crandall in that game, 13 of 16, 221 yards against Montreal back on June the 11th. Or July 11th, I should say.
Scott Milanovic got a chance in a couple of starts, but really not fair to him. He was thrown right in the fire without really having very much experience in the Canadian Football League at all. He has experience in football, but not in this league with the wide field and the unlimited motion.
James Hendon, the ex-Argo, flanks to the near side for a Calgary first down. Crandall. And no one was home. Mix-up on the far side. McDonald was out there, and Don Blair as well.
But John, you think back 2 years ago, Marcus Crandall was the Grey Cup most valuable player. You know, last year over 4,000 yards. Kevin Federick has played scrappy football when he's had a chance to play, but Kevin Federick is just not ready to lead a football team at this level to the Grey Cup and to win enough games the Calgary Stampeders need. He's just physically not ready. Marcus Crandall has the experience. He gives them their best chance to win.
2nd and 10 for Crandall. And he underthrew Phillips, who was wide open.
Pressure was the reason that he had underthrew that ball to Lawrence Phillips, because he really couldn't follow through. He couldn't step into the pocket. He couldn't step up and let it go. Watch David Benefield get that pressure up the field. 58. He's working again on Jeff Pilon, and see how Marcus Crandall had to throw it and then kind of back away. He never even got to fully extend his arm to get that football to Lawrence Phillips.
Duncan O'Mahony nailed his first 55 yards. Waiting to return, Ladarius Van. Standing back at the Winnipeg 15. O'Mahony angles it away. Not deep. Flags everywhere. As Van is wrapped up at the 20 after a 32-yard punt. Wendy's Friday Night Football from Winnipeg. John Wells and Glenn Suter up top. Greg Musselman and Keith McMahon patrolling the sidelines. Here's Keith.
Thanks, John. And we're going to talk a bit about Joe Fleming, who's kind of used to struggling football teams. He was in Winnipeg as a member of the Blue Bombers during the Jeff Reinbold era, where wins before Labor Day were tough to come by. He says, though, it wasn't so much a soap opera then. It was just a matter of lack of talent. He, quite frankly, thinks Calgary's got good talent here. If they just stick to football and not all the off-the-field stuff and get healthy, they'll be okay.
The Reinbold era in Winnipeg was something to behold, but it was nothing like what's gone on in Calgary so far this season. Here are the Blue Bombers with a first down. Harry Jones stands in, got it away. Sellers makes the catch, bounces off one, and turns it into a first down, or darn close to it.
You know, John, I agree with you, and I agree with Joe Fleming. There is good talent in the Calgary Stampeders lineup. Joe Fleming.
Difficult thing about this is a lot gets talked about. It is a constant distraction because we're not talking about football.
Well, that's the bottom line. I mean, anytime you're talking about Fred Fitzgerald or what he might say, you're talking about the wrong things. And it is a distraction.
They mark Sellers a couple shy of the first down, and he won't get it on this carry either. And Fleming was right in the middle of things down there. Number 76 comes up with a play that'll get the ball back for the Stampeders more quickly here.
Well, he must have heard us talking about him, because before this series began, he was in the huddle, very vocal, talking to all those guys and just getting them fired up. And in 2 plays in a row, Joe Fleming is right in the middle of it. And he forces the Bombers almost by himself to punt the football.
Troy Westwood back at his 30, and that's Wayne McGarity. Deep for the Stampeders, a couple of punt return touchdowns in his rookie season. And he's got it again. Flags are down as McGarity takes off, and another flag comes down in the area of the tackle. Joe Fleming, definitely the Stampeders leader on defense.
The Fleminator.
Rylan Wickman has been watching from the sidelines a little bit tonight. Here's Greg Musselman.
Thanks, John. The first quarter, Rylan Wickman injured his right knee. It's actually the same knee he injured a couple of years ago and missed the second half of the season in the Grey Cup. And he's hoping to get back in there. He's got some ice on it right now. Of course, Bombers also without Terry Ray, so they're getting a little depleted in the linebacking core. Of course, they do have Maurice Kelly who could move up as well. But Rylan Wickman, they'll have it looked at halftime and then see if he can go for the third quarter. He's a tough guy, so if he can, he'll get out there.
2 holding penalties against the Stampeders on the return, so Calgary is forced to begin inside the 10. Nice play action fake, intercepted, touchdown Blue Bombers. Brian Clark slipping on the pavement on the sidelines, and he came from nowhere. At least that's the view that Marcus Crandall had of it.
Well, he came right from the middle, John. He looked like he was going to come on the blitz up front, and then he just drops out of there. And Marcus Crandall was looking off. He was looking to the left side, and he had an open receiver over the middle. It was Don Blair. But Clark just dropped out in a hurry and made a pretty athletic catch. Come up with his 5th interception. Leading the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 5 interceptions for Brian Clark now.
And for the Blue Bombers, 28 unanswered points. Calgary scored first. The Bombers have celebrated 4 touchdowns since. We might see a smile on Dave Ritchie's face before this is over. 21 points off turnovers already. Greg?
Thanks, John, with Brendan Tam and Dave Ritchie's right-hand man, Vice President of Director Personnel. Now, Brendan, you got to be happy with the way things are going. And, I mean, here's a team that's 6-3, but sounds like they're more like the 2-7 team around town here.
Yeah, it's been a little ugly lately, but, you know, we weren't happy totally with the way we were playing, but the bottom line is we are 6-3, so we're trying to get to 7-3, but we're playing well. But there's a couple areas we're still trying to get fixed, but overall we can't be too upset.
I know the defensive backfield is something you're looking at. You see some players down south because you're recently down there for a scouting trip.
Yeah, I think the 8 other teams are doing the same thing we're doing, so hopefully we can pick and choose the right few, and then if we can get him in, so good, so be it. But we're pretty happy with where we're at, but we got a long way to go.
Arlan Bruce is a player that had some success here at Winnipeg. He's trying to make it in the NFL. Have you had a chance to see him, talk to him, and maybe perhaps could get him back up here?
I talked to his agent the other day, and I wished him well sarcastically, but no, I think he's got a good chance to make San Francisco, so we're trying to move on without him.
Okay, thanks, Brendan.
Take care.
The Winnipeg kickoff after another touchdown. Scott Dybert barely hangs on. He fumbled one away, and that cost Calgary a touchdown earlier.
Well, Scott Dybert is not normally back on kickoff returns, and he has struggled just recovering the football on the opening kickoffs. He seems to be rushing the ball a little bit and trying to attack it rather than patiently waiting on it to come to him. He's put one on the ground, almost did there. But Brian Clark is just having an amazing start. He's got 5 interceptions down the season. This one right here. See how he wants to check Lawrence Phillips? Now, when Lawrence Phillips is blocking, that allows Brian Clark to drop back because that's Brian Clark's man. If Phillips has to block, then I'll just drop back, get in coverage.
Clark was taking a little heat from the head coach earlier in the week for missed tackles last week. The interception will cool that down.
Well, how about that tackle?
There's one right there, and Lawrence Phillips has nowhere to run one more time.
That was a tackle and a half right there, and that was just reading the play. This is just instincts from Brian Clark, taking up and stepping forward on the running play, dropping your shoulder and dropping the running back.
Lawrence Phillips gets back into the lineup after missing several games. He missed 6 after starting the first 3. Last week, Calgary managed only 37 yards rushing as a unit. Near side, no catch. Phillips couldn't hang on.
Well, Marcus Crandall put it right on the money to Lawrence Phillips, just couldn't pull it in. And really the Calgary Stampeders, because they're down so quickly and so early, once again are having trouble establishing a running game. Remember all those years with Kelvin Anderson and how consistent he has been and was with the Calgary Stampeders, and again this year with the Lions. Since then, 10 players, just 700 yards, 699 yards rushing. They're still trying to find the answer there.
Charles Roberts at the 55. Duncan O'Malley just got it away. And there'll be no return for Roberts. One-handed catch on the sidelines at about the 42. And that's where Winnipeg will take over. Onright and Hedger will have the next edition of Sports Center tonight at 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Highlights of this and the next game in our doubleheader on Wendy's Friday Night Football from Vancouver. The Lions host the Tigers.
And they're watching this one, of course, want to keep pace with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers should they continue the way they're playing right now and take this one.
The Bombers begin inside the 40 with a 28-3 lead. Charles Roberts takes a pretty good hit as he turns the corner, and Joe Fleming was one of the Stampeders there.
You know, this defense has played well enough to win throughout the season, and if it was up to the defense, they would have a better record. Jim Daly does a nice job of preparing, and he was defensive coordinator in Saskatchewan one year that I was there, so I can tell you this, he will kill more trees getting a game plan ready. I mean, we're talking a stack of papers for every player. They cover everything. He's a detailed nut.
Second and 9 Bombers. Kahari Jones has Robert Gordon, and the Stampeders can't catch him. Gordon gets inside the 10. Sloppy tackling there.
Now the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, John, just seem to be playing at a different level right now than the Calgary Stampeders. They're just making everything happen. And yeah, they've got some breaks, some fumbles and things like that, but I tell you what, you make your own breaks. And right now, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are playing with a bounce in their step. This looks like almost the game they've been looking for all season long. Yeah, they're 6-3, but it's been a tough 6-3. By their own admission, it's been a tough 6-3.
Bombers began the season with 3 wins, followed that with 3 losses, and then a couple of wins to get to 6-3. A touchdown toss, penalty markers are down. Stiegel couldn't bring it in.
Well, it's all happening now. There's flags flying, Stiegel's on the pavement, and cannons are going off.
I think the cannon master thought it was a touchdown.
Well, I think the cannon may have shot prematurely.
Another peek at this one. Penalty markers went down.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Calgary, first down.
So the Bombers will get a first down because of this. Not that.
Illegal contact came early on the line of scrimmage. And now we've got to put another shell in the cannon. Get ready.
Life's most embarrassing moments. It's reload time. But I'm thinking that he's going to get to fire it pretty quickly.
Well, he may.
Bombers with 28 unanswered points. Look at first down and goal to go inside the 5. Charles Roberts. And the Stampeders were waiting. George White was in there. Willie Fells.
Boy, the floodgates have just opened on this Calgary Stampeder team. It's just one thing after another, and they have to just find a way to settle things down. Would start with a goal line stand would do wonders towards that goal.
3:21 till halftime. The Bombers have 2 more cracks at it here. Second down. And they'll need 1 more try. Mike Sellers.
Interesting situation now for Dave Ritchie, because with the momentum Winnipeg has right now,
the fans have voted. They want a touchdown.
The fans won the vote because he's just pointing to his offense to stay in there.
Bombers will get the advantage of a timeout right here to make the decision. Maybe that's not an advantage. Blue Bombers are gambling on 3rd down, and we'll check out the opinion on what Dave Ritchie has decided to do with the panel at halftime, as well as preview the second game in this series with Lee Pedersen and James Duthie coming up. It's the Tigers and the Lions on the West Coast in the second half of Wendy's Friday Night Football.
Just going to put 2 cats in a cage and let them go at it.
The West Coast Cats are having a little better season than their Eastern counterparts. 3rd down, and the Bombers go gambling here at the Stampeder 1. There's movement, there's flags. There's a touchdown. Depending on which way the infraction goes.
I think it's going to stand.
Charles Roberts.
Here's the cannon.
And that is not premature at all.
No,
it's right on the money.
Well, offside came from the outside.
Decline. Touchdown.
Calgary tried to anticipate it. The cannon fires on time this time.
Charles Roberts.
Well, it looked like most of the Stampeders were not only jumping a little bit offside, but they were lined up in that neutral zone as well. And it didn't matter anyway. Charles Roberts got off that left side.
Third down gamble pays off for the Bombers. 35 unanswered points on the board now for Winnipeg. And it just gets to be a little longer the night and the season for the Calgary Stampeders.
You know, Jim Barker, he was looking for 2 things to happen in this game. His offense would start to become a little more consistent with Marcus Crandall, and then the running game of Lawrence Phillips, and that may be the most important part to establish Lawrence Phillips. But because Calgary got behind so quickly, now Marcus Crandall's been forced to stand in there and try and throw it, and then he has a misfortune of the interception to Brian Clark, and all of a sudden this thing starts to snowball on him in a hurry.
Snowball in August, no question about that.
Dave Ritchie, on the other hand, John, this is a game he's been waiting for from his football team. They've been very close, and even though they've won a couple, maybe they shouldn't have, and they will admit to that. And he did to me before this game started. They've struggled at times, even though they're 6-3, but they've been looking for a breakout game when they just started clicking. Well, tonight so far, they certainly have.
Well, in all phases of the game as well. For Winnipeg on this night. Scott Dybert returning for the Stampeders, and down and stopped in his tracks at the 29-yard line. 11 on the return. Saturday qualifying for the Hungarian Grand Prix tomorrow on TSN, coming your way at 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. on the West Coast. And the race Sunday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Marcus Crandall comes back, gets the start, drives for 3 points, but that is all that he has been able to put on the board for the Calgary Stampeders thus far tonight. 5 of 12, 92 yards. One drive that was rather impressive. Standing in, and he missed.
Well, and Crandall just has to try and slow the roll now. That's what you just slow the roll and try and calm things down, put together a couple first down, and try and get out of this half. And really, that's all they want to do right now for the Calgary Stampeders. You can see Crandall now in his last few series have just been coming out and gunning the football, trying to throw it. Of course, Winnipeg Blue Bombers defensively know they're going to do that as well. Basically, Jim Barker, when you look at that story on the bottom line, you just have to wipe out
3 turnovers.
Just have to wipe out that first half and start fresh.
And now there's 2nd and 10. Crandall has Regimbald. Scott Regimbald comes up with a catch for a first down at the 43.
Well, and it also means for Marcus Crandall not abandoning the running game, because that was the thought coming in. They really needed to establish a run, try and give Crandall some time so he could be comfortable back there, because he hasn't played for 4 weeks. And they haven't been able to do that. And now they're way back by 32 points. But there's still a whole half of football. The old adage is if they can score 35 and a half, so can we.
Well, Crandall would like to score a little before halftime as Darnell McDonald comes up with a catch there across midfield.
Well, McDonald has made his plays, and when he's been called upon, Darnell McDonald has come up and he can so far in this game, he can sign the bottom of his painting.
Well, and this season too, coming into the game. McDonald, 4th leading receiver in the CFL with 51 catches, closing in on 800 yards as the result of his performance here tonight.
Oh boy.
Smash mouth football, and Lawrence Phillips stopped in his tracks again.
The defense has come to play for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tonight, led by David Benefield, who came around early in this game around the corner, knocked the ball out of Crandall's hands, and then marched it into the end zone. Brian Clark got involved a couple of series ago with a nice interception hiding underneath the coverage there. Marcus Crandall never saw him.
2 for the offense, 2 for the defense. Lots of points on the board for the Bombers. Lawrence Phillips lost a yard. 2nd and 11. Crandall goes deep. He's got Blair. Blair can't hang on. Should have made the catch.
Boy, and that's the one. And that's,
yeah, as a matter of fact, the first ball that Crandall threw was to Blair, and he didn't hang on to that one either.
Well, that's the one that you need to come up with when your team is struggling, because that's a deep ball, puts you in scoring range, and a way just to slow things down a little bit. And he has to turn to the opposite side. Maurice Kelly covered a long way. But if he goes up there, and I'm talking about Don Blair, and catches this with his hands and not let it get close to his body, then that hit in the back from Maurice Kelly is not a factor.
That it says it all, really, doesn't it? O'Mani.
No.
This has been away from the first wave, out across the 30 to the 33. 21 on the return. The Labor Day weekend is coming your way next weekend with Montreal and Ottawa. The Blue Bombers move on to Saskatchewan for that traditional matchup. The Eskimos are in Calgary and the Argonauts are in Hamilton. And I'd strongly advise folks in Hamilton to buy a ticket for the game. Go out and enjoy this Labor Day Classic and jam Ivor Wynne Stadium for this one. I mean, I think there's civic pride on the line involved in Hamilton. Well, the football team that is in a struggle right now, and I think the best way to show support is buy a ticket. Van makes the catch.
Well, everything going well for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Kahari Jones, something that he hasn't seen all year really, is time in the pocket. He's had that tonight, and look at the numbers. They reflect the time he's had to look down the field and throw the football.
It's been a tough news week for the CFL in so many ways, with the problems in Toronto and in Hamilton, but I do understand from an inside source that the league is guaranteed there will be a finish in Hamilton and in Toronto this year, and another touchdown for Stiegel in Winnipeg. Kahari Jones is hot. Stiegel has the touchdown catch.
And they did it on first down. We talked about it early coming in. They wanted to try and get Milt Stiegel down the field and do it on first down when he won't draw the double team. Didn't draw the double team there. Kahari Jones had time to throw, and Stiegel got in behind everybody.
I thought the Bomber offense might rest a little bit while I went into that story about good news in Hamilton and Toronto, that both teams are going to finish the season where they began. However, I guess when you're hot, you're hot. The Bombers aren't particularly interested in missing any kind of an opportunity to put one in the end zone here tonight.
No, they're not slowing down at all. They just drop back and let it rip. Milt Stegall just climbs up that all-time touchdown ladder now with receptions. Touchdown receptions now tied with Brian Kelly all-time. One more tonight. He goes into second place all by himself, and this is a beauty. All the way down the field. Look at the time that Kahari Jones has to throw the football. He's in behind Kelly Malville, and that's a lonely feeling for Kelly Malville, but everybody who's ever lined up to play defensive back has gone through it. And Milt Stegall, it's nothing to hang your head about because he's done it to a bunch of them.
73 yards. Another touchdown reception for Milt Stegall. Number 97 in a brilliant career as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber. And for Stegall, his 9th of the season. 40 seconds to go on a long night for the Stampeders as the offense trots out on the field. A quick review here.
Started out with Robert Gordon. Nice catch to get things going.
Here's David Benefield. Makes the play twice. Creates the fumble. Picks it up and he's gone. Touchdown.
Defense had to get involved. Now it's the offense's turn again. Second effort from Mike Sellers.
Another defensive score. Brian Clark.
Well, Sellers has one. Let's go to Charles Roberts for one, and then let's finish her off with the prettiest of the bunch.
73 yards. Kahari to Milt. We've said that a time or two. McGarity is the intended receiver. Harold Nash was covering step for step.
You know, Harold Nash made up ground there. McGarity was in behind the coverage, but Harold Nash showed some great closing ability to catch up and just focus in on McGarity and find a way to get back involved with that play.
.33 seconds till halftime. And it's going to be a very lonely walk to the dressing room for the Stampeders.
Well, Calgary Stampeders have to just forget about it. They have to come out with the game plan, make some adjustments, no question, but just forget about this half. Try and work one touchdown at a time, see if they can't scrape back into it.
It's not all Crandall's fault.
Certainly not.
Everyone has taken a turn at letting the Stampeders down.
Well,
The heat was on there from Doug Brown.
Crandall's had some pressure in his face. He's not been able to step in the pocket all game long. He had that drop by Don Blair that may have given him a little momentum before the half, and certainly have maybe saved that Milt Stegall touchdown, taking that one off the board. Certainly not all Crandall's fault. But right now, the Calgary Stampeders are facing this. They cannot give up another point defensively. Crandall's got to start to scrape in one touchdown at a time, and they may need not only a shutout in the second half on defense, but a score from the defense and a score from the special teams to come back.
That's at the very least, with the Bombers sitting with 6 touchdowns on the board. High punt O'Mani. Man, at the 30.
Get 35. Get.
Say this isn't so. Not a punt return. Now O'Mani gets over and forces him out. 30 yards on the return after a 46-yard punt. So they're trying to find something positive to say about the Calgary Stampeders tonight. Is up to these guys.
Wow, this game reminds me a little bit of the old Matt Dunnigan to Gerald Wilcox in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers uniform, and when they got things rolling, it looked like this a bunch of times. We'll hear from Matt and the rest of the guys at halftime, but wow, what a half Jim Barker has seen from this Winnipeg Blue Bomber football team.
Up the cover, it's Milt again. 6 seconds to go.
Now they can send the field goal team out and try for 3 more.
And that's the plan. I don't know what to say to Jim Barker the next time we meet.
You know, and he's facing a team right now in the Bombers that you really felt were poised for a game like this. They really were. I mean,
well, the Bombers were due for a game
they
like
were.
this.
They were just, you were wondering when the explosion would happen with the talent that they have. Well, how about this half?
Troy Westwood will have it spotted by Jamie Stoddard, and it is blocked. Loose ball scooped up by the Blue Bombers, technically speaking, but zeros on the clock, and that's the end of a long first half for Calgary.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers, everything has gone right.
And for Jim Barker's Calgary Stampeders, way too many turnovers, too many touchdowns for Winnipeg.
Oh, Nelly. 42 unanswered points. I hate to bring this up. The franchise record for points against for the Calgary Stampeders is 70 points. They're halfway there. It was the Argos. You guys were with the Argos. Did you score a touchdown that night?
I scored a touchdown. Just lied.
It was 1990, September of 1990, 70 points against, and it's starting to look like this one could get to 70 unless Calgary turns it around, Matt.
Yeah, Fog Dog. Ricky Foggy was tearing up Calgary that day. Now it's Kahari Jones. The defense is anybody in the Winnipeg Blue Bomber organization right now. And the thing I feel sorry for is Winnipeg Blue Bombers, after they're through beating Calgary tonight, there's going to be questions. Who do they beat? You know, they're going to be 7-3, top of the West, first place, and they're going to be questions already. But let's look at the turnovers and what happened. Gordon scores a touchdown, answers Calgary's only points, the three points. But right here, Benefield, great individual effort here. He takes it to distance. And then the ensuing kickoff right here, Clark. Brian Clark right there, number 48, causes that fumble. And then he adds this beautiful interception. So turnovers turned it around very quickly, Schulte, for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Offense is getting it going. But again, I'm going to reiterate to you, I think that there's still going to be some questions to be answered here because they're going to say, who did you beat? You're 7-3, and who did you beat? But I think they're answering a lot of questions and moving in the right direction.
Well, I like what Winnipeg's doing because they're executing. What I'm interested in the second half is how does Calgary respond? Do they respond by playing a competitive game, or do they kind of throw in the towel? One guy who is playing a competitive game right now is Darnell McDonald. And if Calgary comes back, the receivers have to make plays like this. That is remarkable body control. But really, the repetition of the game has been plays like that where receivers have opportunities, not supporting their quarterback. The second half is key on how Calgary responds.
Well, guys, I think it's about time that we finally talk about whether or not Coach Barker's job is on the line. I mean, it's, you know, it's at that time where, you know, there's been rumors just starting to circulate, and obviously when you're down 42-3, you're about to go 2-8, it's inevitable that this is going to become a question. But I think there's a few things to consider here. I mean, first of all, you got a guy who's the offensive coordinator. So if you fire him as the head coach, you're also losing your offensive coordinator. That can be a problem. And the other thing is this guy apparently signed a 3-year contract. Not many teams in the CFL can afford to fire a coach and have to be paying that salary for a guy who's sitting at home. And so now you got the issue of the quarterback, though. Federic, obviously, his unwillingness to play him. Will that factor into it? Lots of questions coming up in Calgary.
Calgary beats Winnipeg in the 2001 Grey Cup. That wasn't even that long ago, but obviously times have changed. Winnipeg is all over them tonight. 2 touchdowns from their defense. It's got that bug-eyed look to it, doesn't it? It's all Bombers at the half. Halftime numbers brought to you by Molson Canadian Seize the Day. Big man.
Well, you always like the big numbers except in one aspect, and that's the turnovers. 3 of them for Calgary. It's killing them. And how about those passing yards for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? 258.
Let's see if Dave Ritchie's in a good mood. With a 42-3 lead, he spoke with Greg Musselman.
Dave, you're looking for a breakout game. You certainly have got that in the first half.
Our defense and offense are playing very well. We just had that field goal blocked, and that's the 3rd one this year. That's ridiculous.
But you have to take solace in the fact that your special teams have come up with some big plays, and the defense really has that aggression. At least it looked like that in that first half.
Well, yeah, it's a nice game to come back to, eh?
Thanks, Dave.
All right.
I guess, I don't know.
What's the take? What's the take before that guy smiles?
Dave. Smile, baby.
At halftime.
It's Wendy's Friday Night Football, and you're laying a whooping on them.
Dave Ritchie's Blue Bombers with their best half of the season. Not so on the other side of the field. Here's Keith McMahon.
All right, Jim, just your assessment of Well, first of all, Marcus Crandall and his start. And
well, obviously he hasn't played in 5 weeks, and his rush shows. I mean, we just can't sustain anything, and then they played a great half. In every phase of the game, we got beat. And, you know, we'll come out the second half, play by play, and that's all we can do.
Given the score, how will you use Marcus in the second?
Well, this is about us. It doesn't matter to me about that. So this is about us and getting our guys in rhythm. And we haven't had our guys together, and this is about it. For us, this is, you know, it's almost like a preseason game. We have to find our rhythm. We can't worry about the score or any of that other.
Appreciate you doing this, Jim. Thanks.
Hard to believe Dave Ritchie worrying about the blocked field goal after putting up 6 touchdowns in a row and having 42 points on the board at the half.
And on the other sideline, you heard Jim Barker talk about just the rhythm of the entire team. It really isn't about just Marcus Crandall or their quarterback situation. It's about the entire team. All phases, the Calgary Stampeders were beat in the first half. Special teams, offense, and defense. They have to find a rhythm in all 3 phases, and we're one play at a time to come back.
Well, this is a character test for the Calgary Stampeders now. Not a bad start for Lawrence Phillips out across the 40 on his first carry second half. And the quarterback stacked up thusly in the first.
Well, you look at those numbers for Marcus Crandall, 8 of 19. I would say 3 or 4 drops. It would look a lot better at 13 or 14 of 19. A couple of those were long ones. And Kahari Jones is 12 of 14, maybe his best half of football this year.
Late touchdown, 73-yard strike. So Milt Stiegel. Lawrence Phillips on second down, and he'll turn this into a first down play for the Stampeders. And a couple of touchdowns by the Blue Bomber defense. Dave Benefield with the most spectacular of the 2.
Well, yeah, it's fun when you're playing quarterback and your defense is scoring for you, because it certainly takes a whole bunch of pressure off your offense. And Winnipeg so far have had two touchdowns, one by Brian Clark, the other by David Benefield, as you mentioned, John. Clark on an interception, Benefield on a forced fumble recovery touchdown. 3 stacks for Benefield.
The whole play for David Benefield to score that long touchdown run, 50 yards. And the second time tonight, the hat has been shaken loose from Lawrence Phillips. Made the catch. There was nowhere to go.
Calgary Stampeders in the first half. They punted one after a couple of drops there, and then had a nice 6-play drive. It looked like Marcus Crandall was feeling fairly comfortable, and then the wheels started to fall off with some turnovers. Fumble, and they had an interception down there as well that we saw turned into that touchdown from Brian Clark.
It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Stampeders.
Wasn't just the offense, though. There was some special teams plays made by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as well.
Crandall has time. He has a target. It's McGarity. At the 35, he comes down with it in front of Maurice Kelly.
All right, Maurice Kelly went a long way. I thought he got there in time. McGarity just used his body to keep Maurice Kelly away from the football, because right in the middle of the field, number 24, look at him fly to cover a lot of ground. He got there, but McGarity did a nice job of blocking him out, kind of like a basketball player does underneath the hoop, trying to fight for that rebound.
25-yard gain for the Stampeders. Down, Marcus Crandall between 2 targets. McDonald was there, and so was Blair, and a penalty marker is down.
Well, you know, when you're playing well and things are rolling, people might say, they got a little lucky with turnovers, but this is how luck is created. You start hitting like that and physically are flying around and making plays, then that's when the breaks start to fall your way. And that's what you call making your own breaks. Now the Bombers just got a penalty down the field.
Pass interference against Winnipeg, and the Calgary Stampeders will get a chance to hit the end zone. As as this drive continues now at the 15, first down. Catch made. No yards gained on the play. London made the catch. He's the ex-Argonaut who came over a couple of weeks ago, getting his first start tonight.
Watch Dave Donaldson just pick up where Brian Clark left off a couple of plays ago and come from that corner spot and drive up on James Hunden, put his shoulder and helmet right into the shoulder pad of James Hunden, knocked the ball out of there. Hunden makes that catch, if not, for the guy they call Double D.
Dave Donaldson getting a start on the corner. Hunden had to come back to make the catch, and as a result, there's no gain on the play. 2nd and 10. Wild crowd in Winnipeg. Crandall stands in. The touchdown toss is on the money.
One play at a time.
McGarity. Wayne McGarity makes the catch.
One play at a time. You heard Jim Barker say it, and that's really what the Calgary Stampeders have to do. Almost a problem right at the beginning of that play. Lawrence Phillips tried to get over and pick up Lamar McGriggs, almost knocked over Marcus Crandall in the process. He was able to slip around him, and Crandall found McGarity.
15-yard touchdown. And a positive opening drive for the Stampeders.
Keep fighting, man.
To begin the second half. Mark McLaughlin has his 4th point of the night. McGarity has the touchdown reception. A long way back, but the Stampeders are a little closer. Rookie sensation Wayne McGarity has had a superb first season in the Canadian Football League, coming into the game number 3 in all-purpose yards, 1,508, and that was his 4th touchdown reception of the year.
And it almost didn't happen. Some problems in the backfield, and Crandall was lucky to get it out of there.
It's a start for Calgary. There's Ben. And the Bombers get super field position on the return by Ladarius Ben. 39 yards.
Let me show you what I was talking about on that. Almost didn't happen. Lawrence Phillips, as they break the huddle, you're going to see him go ahead and run it for a second, guys, and then hold it right here. You see how Lawrence Phillips is looking this direction. His responsibility is over here. He's looking to his left, and all of a sudden it's quick count. There he's looking, then whoa, I got to get back over and take McGriggs. I got him, but just in time. That one almost messed up in the backfield. McGarity at the other end, he just pushes up the field and then comes back inside and presents himself as a target. But Lawrence Phillips just scrambled over there in time to make the key block on the play.
Bombers late flag. Taunting was called against Winnipeg on the return, so Winnipeg has moved back inside the Bomber 40. First down, Kahari Jones still at the controls. This is Charles Roberts. One touchdown already.
A couple things have really helped this Winnipeg offense. One is to open things up on first down with the inside receivers, Milt Stegall and Robert Gordon. Both already have a touchdown. Paul LaPolice right over here in the back. He told me before the game that was the plan. Come in on first down, try and get those guys deep and stretch the defense, and then we can work them a little bit more on second down. Plus, Charles Roberts getting nice production running the football.
He gained 6, 2nd and 4. Play action fake to Roberts. Almost intercepted, but Stegall has it. And he's away. Milt Stegall grabbed from behind, loose ball. Calgary has it out of bounds. As the Stampeders recover, Joey Bose.
Well, Bose kept hustling. First of all, Davis Sanchez took a gamble, and that one didn't pay it off, but Joey Bose bailed out his corner.
Almost intercepted. Stegall makes the catch. The turnover goes the other way. Stampeders first down when we return. Stampeders have their first turnover. A fumble recovery by Joey Bose.
Well, you heard it. One play at a time. McGarity with one play. That was a touchdown. Now Joey Bose, he has a play with that fumble recovery.
Kelly Malvo helping to pry it loose from Milt Stegall.
One play at a time.
Stampeders first down. Outside the Calgary 20, 22-yard line. Pitch to Lawrence Phillips. Nowhere to go there. Nowhere to go there either as he spun around a couple of times. Got dizzy trying to find a hole.
Darnell McDonald has made a living on this play. Now, this is not big yardage, but this is a big hit. I tell you what, he's going to come from the right here, and this is his target right there. It's called a crackback block, where the wide receiver comes down and lowers the boom on a guy who just does not see him coming unless the defensive back calls out, crack, 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 here he comes. And he's not getting many calls because Darnell McDonald has done that a bunch this season.
Loss of 2 yards, 2nd and 12, Calgary. Wide open, far side. McGarity again, caught from behind after a huge gain. Wayne McGarity.
You know, Darnell McDonald, that's a nice catch by McGarity, but Darnell McDonald, I mentioned, has done this a bunch. Watch this. I mean, Reggie Hunt is lowered by McDonald. Look at this. Another one. Just, you know, that's a
hat popper.
That's a slobber knocker right there. Here's another one. And these are big linebackers and defensive linemen, too, not just little guys. And he is just fearless coming across in those crackbacks. Defensive back has to help their big guys in front and just say, hey, here he comes.
McGarity with a 31-yard gain. Crandall has another open target. It's Hunden. And that'll be another Stampeder first down. Dave Donaldson had a hold of him by the ankles, but Hunden had made the catch for the necessary yardage.
John, you get the feeling that the Calgary Stampeders are they're a totally different team. They've come out in this second half completely relaxed. And you got to believe that they went in halftime and just said, guys, I mean, we can't get any worse.
That's exactly the point.
We are right at the bottom of the barrel. The only way we can go is up. Relax and go play football. That's what they're doing now.
12-yard gain, first down. Play action fake. Crandall plays it well, and there are penalty flags down on the coverage against McDonald. Ricky Bell, number 20, was covering there.
Well, Ricky Bell has tried to play aggressively on Darnell McDonald. I talked a lot about the mismatch in size. He's got him by about 4 inches, McDonald. He's trying to play aggressively. Everything's okay so far, but at some point...
Number 20, first down.
At some point, you got to get off him. At some point, you got to get your hands off him, and Bell waits too long with that ball in the air.
Net result, plus 25 yards, Calgary. Stampeders trailing 42-3 as this half began. A touchdown here for Calgary would be huge, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
7:27 to go, third quarter.
Formation problems from the Calgary Stampeders there. Don Blair went out to the wide side of the field, and he started looking at the personnel that was over there with him and realized either he was wrong or they were wrong. And Crandall just said, hold on a second. We don't want to mess it up down here. And so they go back to that chart, and they make sure they get the right formation. If you call a play in the huddle, John, you break the huddle, and the right personnel isn't out there, and you got a different formation, it has no chance.
No chance, and they have to take advantage of an opportunity here.
Well, yeah, and then, you know, this is how they started the half with this McGarity touchdown. And when you're down in here, this is what you want to finish with. So that's why it's important to, whoa, stop everything. We don't have it right. Let's get it lined up properly, and let's get back out here.
And all of a sudden, the numbers for Marcus Crandall looking just a little bit better. On first down, Crandall has a target. Down to the 4-yard line, no catch. Coverage was a little too tight, supplied that time by Maurice Kelly. And McGarity was the target again.
Well, and it was Maurice Kelly making the play because McGarity was running one-on-one, and he wasn't on Kelly, but Kelly was the guy, the free man. See how Kelly comes in behind there, and now he just strips that ball out of there. McGarity goes up, pulls that down, and buries it under his arm quickly. He might have a chance.
Split second quicker, and he makes the catch. Second and 10, Stampeders.
Got a one-on-one on this backside, John.
Crandall sees it, and Blair makes the catch. First of the night for Don Blair, who dropped a couple in the first half.
Well, they just got back, and so far I mentioned this Calgary Stampeder team is playing relaxed football. They had nothing to lose now, down as far as they were. It's heard Jim Barker say it, one play at a time, and that's really how they've approached it. And they've taken all this momentum away from Winnipeg now, and they're knocking on the doorstep one more time.
Second half has belonged to the Stampeders, but they'll need all of it to win this one tonight. They'll need to play almost perfectly when they get their opportunities. First down, flags are down, wide open, touchdown Calgary. We'll check the infraction. Back at the line.
Darnell McDonald, John.
I could have made the catch.
Well,
it was so wide open.
He took advantage of a mistake in the secondary. Ricky Bell and Harold Nash tried to switch receivers.
Winnipeg number 2.
Touchdown, folks.
Touchdown.
Crandall, I bet his eyes are as big as deer in the headlights right now when he looks up and he sees Darnell McDonald this wide open, like, yeah. Ricky Bell and Harold Nash tried to switch receivers, tried to drop off Don Blair and pick up McDonald late, and they messed it up.
Fourth touchdown of the year. A 10-yard catch by McDonald. And all of a sudden, the Stampeders have 2 touchdowns and a field goal on the board. It's not number 1 yet, but they get a little closer. Fourth touchdown catch of the season for Darnell McDonald, a 10-yarder, wide open in the end zone.
Well, yeah, defense, John, is all about communication, and especially in the defensive backfield, you have to talk, especially when you want to switch receivers. And Darnell McDonald took advantage of either a lack of communication or too much of it between Ricky Bell and Harold Nash.
Still a long way back for Calgary, but the second half has belonged to the Stampeders with a couple of touchdowns. Winnipeg still leading by 25 points. Deep kickoff. Returned by Lamar McGriggs, and a turnover sets up the second Stampeder touchdown of the second half.
Well, it was looking good for Winnipeg there with that Milt Stegall catch, but Otis Floyd strips the ball out of Steagall's hands. There you go, Joey Bose gets it. Now here's the play. Now watch the 2 defensive backs. If you hold it there, guys. One said, I got Blair. He said, I got Blair. I said, well, wait a minute. Who's got McDonald?
No one.
And they turned around and looked, and it was no one.
Stampeder defense looks to make a play here. On first down, Winnipeg inside the Bomber 30. Harry Jones airs it out. Gordon is the target. And he drew double coverage at the end. There was an opportunity for a Stampeder interception.
I like this Joey Bose. He has made some plays, and he started the game for Calgary with a nice hit on the kickoff. And he showed a little range and discipline here because he's going to have one receiver come across and one layered behind him like that. Now, if he decides to jump one, he's beat behind him. But he stays poised. There's Milt Stegall across his face. He doesn't fight that. Stays high, shows nice range, flows to the football, knocks it out of there.
Bombers scored 42 unanswered points in the opening half. The Stampeders have responded with 14 unanswered here in the second.
Oh, boy.
Over the cover, here's Charles Roberts. And he flies out on the far side, chased down by Davis Sanchez. That saved a touchdown for Winnipeg.
Yeah, I could just see this one developing for Winnipeg. You could tell by the way the defense was lined up that this play was going to go for a bunch because they snuck up in the secondary and came with the full-out blitz and allowed Charles Roberts to sneak out of there. Now it's just Roberts and 2 defenders back there. He beats those 2, and Davis Sanchez was hustled from the backside. You're right, John. He saves a touchdown. That play was going a long way from the get-go.
Well, it did. 47 yards for Roberts. The Bombers move into scoring position at the 35 with a first down.
Run!
Mike Sellers bowls his way.
Hey, I'll show you this play once more, and you see there's Jason Bray, number 11, up there, and then they're in the George Whites up there as well. So all the linebackers and defensive backs up in the line of scrimmage like that, you throw that screen in behind them, there's no one back there. Charles Roberts has nothing but daylight.
Next play, Mike Sellers picks up 8, making this 2nd and 2, Winnipeg. Roberts. Extra effort gets the first down.
Yeah, that's a tough run by Charles Roberts. They're going to call him down here, even though Calgary's...
Oh, look at the flags.
Now there's an all-out brawl.
It's like a fireworks display.
And they are going at it. Mike Sellers in the middle of it. Something happened at the bottom of that pile. Got the boys riled up.
I think an early shower might be imminent here.
It could be happening. That field looks as orange as it is green right now. And all kinds of things happen at the bottom of that pile. Some are X-rated. Mike Sellers didn't like any of it.
Bombers did get enough yardage for the first down. We'll see if it matters.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 33. Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Calgary number 98. Both of them were dead ball fouls. First down.
So no disqualifications.
Well, and maybe there should be. And
Antoine Young for the Stampeders, Mike Sellers for the Bombers. Look here.
First of all, here's the play. Now Roberts he's still fighting for yards, and then it starts to get ugly in there. And a helmet came off. I thought it was Garrett Smith, picked the helmet up and threw it. He's very lucky he did not get thrown up for that.
Here are the Bombers with the first down. Kahari Jones under the cover at Sellers. Can't get up the head of steam he was hoping for. He's dropped at about the 25. Call it a 5-yard gain.
You know, it's not a bad decision by the official. Just settle him down, give him those offsetting penalties, and then just say, get back to your huddle, and let's finish this thing. But we mentioned it earlier that Calgary had to pitch a shutout defensively, basically. Now, the worst-case scenario for them, they've got to try and hold off here to just a field goal attempt.
Like playing 5-a-side in hockey. Send 2 to the box.
Yeah, cool down.
Cool down.
Throw a little water on him.
2nd and 5, Blue Bombers. At the Calgary 15, Jones fires for Roberts. He'll have the first down. Out at about the 6-yard line, Charles Roberts. #1 rusher in the Canadian Football League coming in. Made a couple of catches tonight.
I was going to say not bad at catching the ball either. That ball is outside and has to look over his right shoulder, pull it in.
Bombers have not scored in the second half after putting 42 on the board in the first. But in the score zone where they sit right now, 1st and goal to go at the 6. There's a pretty good chance Kahari Jones will find the end zone. Stiegel had it, couldn't hang on.
Well, it's perfect timing and a great throw. Milt Stiegel got inside position, and that one just came out. Remember, Stiegel was stripped of the ball. Kelly Melville has inside right now, but that little jab step to the outside by Milt Stiegel.
It was there.
It froze Melville, and then he got inside position. Ball was on target. He just dropped.
2:35 left in the 3rd quarter. Blue Bombers trying to set the pace in the CFL West with their 7th win of the season. 2nd down, goal to go. Jones is flushed, almost intercepted on the line. Davis Sanchez had a hand on it, couldn't get to.
It looked like one of the few times, and it's happened a little more this year, that teams will try and play some match coverage where they've got guys running in man underneath, but some free players back there to try and just play the football. Davis Sanchez was doing that, almost had the interception.
Bombers will settle for a field goal try. As Westwood is in, Stoddard will put it down. Sharp angle chip shot. Troy Westwood hitting on 74% of his field goal tries coming in. Trying to draw Calgary offside. Stampeders didn't fight. The Bombers need 3 more to the total, and that's 45-17. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football from Winnipeg. Bombers have their first points of the second half. Stampeders begin at the 35, first down. James Hundon. Couple of quick touchdowns for Calgary.
Yeah, a different team in the second half. Marcus Crandall came out throwing and found McGarity earlier inside, and he gets his touchdown, and then real nice throw to a wide open Darnell McDonald.
1:10 to go. First half, vastly different story.
Well, points alone, and that's...
Second and 3 as Hundon picks up 7. A little shy on that one as far as velocity is concerned.
Well,
McGarity was the intended receiver.
Things really snowballed, obviously, in this first half on the Calgary Stampeders. But when you think that the Stampeders have had just 1 touchdown in the last 3 games coming into this one.
22 points in the last 3 games as well.
Yeah, and yeah, it snowballed, and it snowballed in all phases. I mean, they had special teams plays. Kahari Jones had some offensive plays, some touchdown passes. Snowball, no question. That happens sometime. But Calgary Stampeders look more proficient on offense right now, even in this huge deficit, than they have the last couple of games.
O'Mani is in on third down, Calgary. It's been a struggle for the Stampeders from the very beginning of this season. This is Van bobbling it. Flags are down. And the Bombers get it back. Joe Fleming has been around the CFL long enough to know when a team is struggling a little bit. Seen it here in Winnipeg, and he's seen it in Calgary this year.
Well, John, all you can really do when your team is struggling is you can look at yourself and you can try and battle back 1 play at a time, and you just take care of your responsibility. The problem happens, and it starts to snowball when guys...
No yards. Calgary number 11. First down.
When guys start to look on the opposite side of the ball, or they look beside themselves at their teammates, and they start to maybe point some fingers or say, well, what about that on offense, or what about this on special? If that happens, the wheels fall right off. But if you just look at yourself and say, okay, this is the first play that I care about, and the only play I care about, and it's this one that I'm about to play. And then I'm going to take care of my responsibilities, and let's see what happens. And that's what Calgary's faced with right now.
The Stampeders getting a little closer in every phase of the game here in the second half. Charles Roberts, 1 big play. Not this time. Wrapped up and tossed back by Joe Fleming and Gareth Smith.
And that's what we're talking about is Joe Fleming. That's what he decided on this play. He decided all I can control is what I do on this very next play. And what I'm going to do is slide down the line of scrimmage, play it with full speed, and see if I can't make something happen. That's exactly what he did.
Should be the last play, third quarter here. It is a Blue Bombers 2nd and 8 situation. Winnipeg just inside the Blue Bomber 40. Kahari Jones takes it down, and no catch. So it'll be a punting situation for the Blue Bombers, as Stoddard was the intended receiver on the final play of the third quarter. A little brighter for the Calgary Stampeders, but looking at that, there's still a long way to go.
Are you saying there's a chance?
There's always a chance.
Well, it did score a couple of touchdowns. Schultze, as you like to remind me all the time, I have never been in the locker room.
I never say that.
You like to point that. You all like to point that out on occasion. But when you go into the halftime, down as they were, I guess you got to hand it to the Stampeders, the way they came out and competed hard in that third quarter on the road.
You know, Dave, if the opposite was true and they came out and did not compete, you really got to question the pride of these players. But the two opening series of the second half were great for the Calgary Stampeders. First of all, let's take a look at Lawrence Phillips. Runs over his own guard, playing with some intensity. Nice physical run play to start a drive. Right in the middle of the drive, Marcus Crandall hits his receiver. Nice job of fighting for the football. And then the touchdown pass. This was really important to get that first score. And, hey, Jock, let's take a look at it in detail.
Well, I'm fast becoming a Wayne McGarity fan. Here's why. This is a post pattern. When you drop in the playbook, it looks a lot like this. Now, he's got a guy playing inside shade because there's no safety help. So you know what he does? Make him think corner and then stick it to the post. This takes patience, it takes speed, quick feet, and confidence. This young receiver's out there is how you run a post pattern on a guy who's playing you inside shade and has been told by his coach, no matter what you do, don't let him get inside, and he still did it. Good receiver, Matt.
Yeah, big hole in there. Why not take advantage of it? Nice job by Calgary. Continue to fight the fight. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, their biggest challenge this half is going to be staying focused. All those plays happened because of Winnipeg Blue Bomber miscues and mental lapses. Milt Stegall fumbled the football. Milt Stegall dropped a touchdown pass. And we see Jamie Stoddard there catching a sure pass and completion. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Dave, have got to stay focused here in the fourth quarter. Otherwise, they're going to say, well, you know, the Bombers, they had a good half, but can they play a full game now? So they got to continue to go in the right direction, stay focused, and not beat themselves.
And not look ahead to their next game, which is a huge rivalry game against Saskatchewan on Labor Day weekend. But they still got this one to finish off. Let's take you back to Winnipeg for the conclusion, where I hear there's a big star on hand there, Wellesley.
Sweet. Yeah, Susan Sarandon right there. Front row center in Winnipeg tonight. She's in town shooting a movie called Shall We Dance?
Now, who's in that? J. Lo's in that, I heard?
Jennifer Lopez, Richard Gere, Susan Sarandon. Remember Bull Durham?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Susan was
my favorite Susan Sarandon movie.
Yes, I remember that. Here are the Stampeders out across the 50. All right, Susan, thanks for coming. Numbers through 3 and a different story for the Stampeders here.
Well, yeah, because the left side of that column there has improved dramatically in the second half. Now, maybe too little, too late. It's a long hole they have to climb out of, but Calgary Stampeders have done some positive things. They've limited the turnover, stopped them as a matter of fact, and put some yardage and points on the board in this second half.
Couple of touchdowns. The Bombers have managed just a field goal, but that big return by Calgary is wiped out by penalty, and Calgary begins back at the 25 instead of out near the 45. Blue Bombers trying to set the pace in the CFL West. BC, Saskatchewan, Edmonton, and Winnipeg all tied at 6-3 heading into this crucial weekend in Canadian football. On first down, Stampeders. Darnell McDonald out a little shy of the first down. David Benefield there to make the tackle. For every sack in tonight's game, Purelator will contribute the quarterback's weight in food to the Winnipeg Food Bank. So far, tons and tons have been spread across cities in the Canadian Football League, with the Alouettes leading the parade as far as sacks are concerned by 35. Saskatchewan closing the gap a little bit in recent weeks.
David Benefield leads the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with 6. He has that touchdown. That doesn't go down as a sack. Got the forced fumble. He picked up the fumble recovery and then scored a touchdown. 6 sacks coming into this one.
Second and 5, Calgary. Bomber fans are alive in Winnipeg tonight. Flags are down, hunting the target. And the penalty marker is back at the 35. Darnell McDonald was the intended receiver, the leading Calgary target all season long.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Winnipeg number 36. First down.
That's Lamar McGriggs away from the play. Darnell McDonald was hit on the play by Maurice Kelly. He tried to go down the field on Ricky Bell one more time, but Maurice Kelly is free in the middle. It's like a cover one defense, which is one free, and the free guy's Kelly. And watch him hit him as he goes down right there, and it rolled up on his knee.
Darnell McDonald was injured last week in the game against the BC Lions, but he did score a 47-yard touchdown before he got hurt. Injured on this play. Came back to play this week.
It looked like that same knee is what he grabbed when he went down there.
Similar situation.
He's got the knee wrapped up after that injury versus BC.
Pat Clayton on the left, one of the True gentleman around the Canadian Football League for all of these years. He began in Winnipeg. He's been in Calgary for a long time now as the athletic therapist.
Hey, John, the athletic therapist is the MVP every year.
Every year. But Pat's just one of those grand guys.
Yeah.
Who's been around for a long time. Not good news for Calgary here. The #1 receiver in Stampeder land had a touchdown earlier this evening. Second one for Calgary, and he was wide open here.
Yeah, open by about a half an acre. And all they can hope as far as the Calgary Stampeders go and their fans is that he can walk this off on the sideline. He was hurt last week and got back, so maybe
he bounced back quickly last week.
Could be like a bursa sack that kind of swells up on you, and then if you walk it off a little bit and put some ice, you can maybe return.
Great enthusiasm from this Bomber crowd here tonight. Winnipeg's best showing. Certainly the Bombers' best half was the first half all season long. Brian Clark has 2 tonight. First for a touchdown. Second one sets the Bombers up one more time. His 6th interception of the season. Here in Winnipeg tonight, a linebacker. How about that, leading the CFL in interceptions? That was his 6th of the season.
This was his first of the game. Brian Clark has basically dropped the gauntlet. He said, okay, defensive backs in the league, this is kind of easy. I just drop back here and intercept the ball every time. You know what's happening? Quarterbacks are underestimating his athletic ability. They think they can just throw it over him.
He had a great start to the season. 2 interceptions tonight. 1 touchdown already. It sets up another opportunity as Charles Roberts gets 5 with a penalty marker down right along the 40-yard line.
That'll come back. I think Otis Floyd was clipped on the play. Well, you've got to be solid down Main Street. And what I'm saying there is the middle of your defense is the key to it. And in the case of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers,
illegal block. Winnipeg number 64. Repeat first down.
That's Mo Elwanibi.
It really doesn't get any better for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on defense down Main Street when you have Doug Brown, and then you put Brian Clark in the middle there, and then behind him is Maurice Kelly, the way he's played tonight. And that's as solid as it gets, the way they played tonight down the middle of their defense.
Bombers are looking at 1st and 20. Move back to the 50 now. Van was the target. Ladarius Van, 5 receptions, 57 yards last week. Blue Bombers were looking for the breakout game. We talked about that earlier. The last 2 victories, Bombers coming in on a 2-game win streak, are against teams out of playoff contention and near the bottom of the standings in the East, Hamilton and Ottawa, over the last 2 weeks. And prior to that, there were 3 Blue Bomber losses. So this is the game Winnipeg fans have been waiting for. That's why we've got the enthusiasm here tonight. 2nd and 20. Charles Roberts the catch. That hit from both sides. Well, that's up 9. It won't be enough.
That, John, and the fact that Susan Sarandon's here too.
Well,
I think that was part of it. But you're absolutely right. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have put on a show for Mrs. Sarandon. Have they not?
They have. And obviously they knew she was in the stands.
Well, she's right in the front row, so yeah.
Been shooting that movie around Winnipeg for several weeks now. Richard Gere also in it, as we mentioned, and Jennifer Lopez. Westwood lines up. 48-yarder. He's wide. Here's McGarity. Oh, upended.
Troy Westwood just a bit outside.
Left knee of Darnell McDonald under ice. Here's Keith McMahon.
Yeah, thanks, John. And Glenn, you were right. That's the same knee injured last week. It's a strained knee, and Darnell McDonald is out for the rest of this one as well. Demetrius Maxey, who injured his knee on the convert that made it 28-3, is also out. They're hoping to get him going at halftime, but it just wouldn't get going for him. So both those guys done for the night.
Two stars of this team. 11:22 to go. Stampeders start deep in their own zone. After an illegal block on the return of the missed field goal.
Well, when your #1 receiver is getting on a cart like that, we'll show you the entry one more time. Maurice Kelly came over from the middle of the field, and when McDonald went down on his back, Kelly rolled over top of him, and that's where the injury occurred. And when your #1 receiver's out and you're down by a bunch, comeback is that much more of a challenge.
James Hunden wide to the near side on second down, Calgary. Crandall got it away, and they'll be stopped short of the first down. Reception made by Camus Peterson, who's back in the lineup for the first time. He was down trying his luck in the National Football League.
And Crandall, because of the pressure on him, has to just gun this out in a hurry, and he has to bring Peterson back. You see the pressure coming from Inoki Brechterfield off the edge, and really has had a lot of that in his face for most of this game.
Camus Peterson had an opportunity with the Jets, and then the Packers arrived in time for one practice with Calgary before making this road trip.
Let him go!
O'Mani aims for the far side. Van wrapped up, tossed to the turf. Dupuis is on top of another Calgary tackler, -1 on the return. The Bombers start on the Calgary side of midfield. First down. Charles Roberts has made some big plays tonight, but running inside has been a little difficult against this Calgary group.
And it is because of Joe Fleming and the likes of the D lineman, Demetrius Maxey, who's now out of the game. But it is tough running in there. But now is where Winnipeg Blue Bombers want to establish the run and eat up as much time as they can. Now they've got a nice lead. They don't want to have any more of their veterans or any of their veterans get hurt at this point. Grind this game out, run it up on the ground, and get it over with.
They have Charles Roberts, and they have Mike Sellers to do just that. Kahari looks to put it up, going deep, long toss. Stoddard has it in his mitts. And they do call it a catch. Great catch by Jamie Stoddard.
Starts up front. I want to show you Mo Eluanibi in the middle there. He starts right there with nice hands on Garrett Smith and holds him out of that middle so that Kahari Jones can step up and deliver this strike to Stoddard.
And Stoddard did a little somersault and held on to the ball somehow. Down to the 10-yard line, the Bombers.
Police did it just to me, didn't he? He said, I want to, they're going to grind it out on the ground now. He goes deep.
Very next play.
Yeah.
Another first and goal situation for Winnipeg. Low snap, Kahari Jones himself looking to the end zone. Yes! Just about everything has gone swell in Winnipeg for the Bombers tonight. The Bombers have 51 points on the board. Troy Westwood makes it 52 with 7:53 in the fourth quarter. Kahari Jones, low snap, no problem. Another Bomber touchdown. Still ahead, the Rogers AT&T Wireless Player of the Game. Here's how to cast your vote for your choice in this one tonight. Kahari should get a couple for a sensational passing evening as far as votes are concerned.
What about defensive players?
Well,
David
you've got a couple
Benefield,
there.
Brian Clark, both have found the end zone as well.
Charles Roberts, as always, something special to watch. 7:53 to go. The Bombers have 52 on the board, and Scott Dybert on the far side is rolled out of bounds. We can't kid you and say this was a terrifically competitive ball game when you look at the scoreboard at 52-17. But what is fun on a night like tonight, when the home team has struggled a little bit through this season and comes out and puts on a performance like Winnipeg has tonight, this crowd has enjoyed every moment of this.
Wow, they've been on their feet for most of it. It's a packed house here at Canadian Stadium, and when you look at that lower box score, they've had something to cheer about every single quarter, including Susan Sarandon. Hey, if you want to vote for Susan Sarandon, player of the game, I'm sure you could do that somehow.
If I could only do my internet messaging. McGarity open through his fingertips. Game story brought to you by Sport Check, Canada's largest sporting goods retailer.
Milt Stiegel, 166 yards. There's a vote. He may get some votes and should for player of the game.
Kahari Jones, 367 passing, 1 10-yard rushing touchdown.
Well, Brian Clark has got the 2 interceptions, but I like the way he's played against the run. He's been physical. We've seen him come up and make some big hits. I mean, he knocked the helmet off of Lawrence Phillips.
Game story for Sport Check, the best value. Second down, Calgary. Courageous performance for the Stampeders starting quarterback tonight, Marcus Crandall. Don Blair was the intended receiver there. And the Bombers are turning it on at the exact perfect moment heading into the Labor Day weekend and a match next week against the Rough Riders in Saskatchewan, that traditional Labor Day gathering. Saskatchewan will play Edmonton on Saturday, so somebody is going to fall out of that 4-way tie for top spot.
Well, and it doesn't matter the records either when you go into that game. Yeah, that's a drop the gloves and let's go. But it's Labor Day.
Flag is down on the coverage by the Stampeders. Ladarius Van is chased out, and of course the other traditional Labor Day matchup is in Hamilton with the Argonauts in town against the Tiger Cats. We talked a little bit in the first half about all the rumors surrounding those two franchises. They were
low yards, Calgary number 26, first down.
They were discussing possibly moving the Argonauts out of Skydome, which was an unfounded rumor. Word is, and it will be announced early next week, that both the Tiger Cats and the Argonauts are set to finish out the season with owners in the wings for both teams. And hopefully the Tiger Cats might even have someone announced before the season's end.
Conference call 1 o'clock today, and that was the vote to go ahead and make sure that both teams finish the season. And good news for the Canadian Football League. And you're right, very likely there'll be new owners in Hamilton before the end of the year. I understand there's a list of groups looking at that team because of their stadium situation. Toronto will be a tougher sell because of its stadium issues, but by the time next season begins, hopefully there'll be a new owner with that franchise as well.
Anyway, so put the rumors to rest that the Argonauts were going somewhere else to play the remainder of their games.
Well, it was something that was talked about. It certainly was talked about, but it's good that it's not going to happen.
And Barnes is in. Kahari is done for the night. And a rough ride for the Blue Bomber backup. And the Tigers lick the Lions tonight. Tiger Cats Lions next up on Wendy's Friday Night Football as the doubleheader wraps up from BC Place. Dave Dickinson is on a tear, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
My gosh, he is fun to watch.
Talk about front runners for outstanding player right now. Anthony Calvillo in the East, Dave Dickinson be a great pick in the West. tremendous performances from quarterbacks in this league this year, and that level of play at that position continues to increase.
And nice to see Kahari Jones put it on the field tonight, too, because there was a struggle for the Blue Bombers offense coming into this game.
Winnipeg number 24, still third down.
Well, this is the first time, John, in a few years now that Kahari Jones actually been pulled out of games on a consistent basis this year, and that's because his entire offense has been struggling, and it's not just been his fault every time, and it usually never is, and it's usually never all their credit when they win games. But the bottom line is he has been pulled, but he put it together tonight in a big way.
McGarity, nice return out near the 50. Blue Bombers and Kahari Jones have put it together tonight. Jones to Gordon right there.
David Benefield got involved in the fun. Forced fumble recovery.
The perfect bounce.
Sprint to the end zone.
Like Sellers from 1 yard out. Not easy, but he got there.
The other ones are pretty. Sellers was a tough one. Clark walks in the end zone on an interception.
Charles Roberts just across the line, and Stiegel 73 yards. No one can catch this guy in full stride. And Kahari from 10. You know what? Back at Sports Center, they don't even have to edit the highlights. There you go.
There it is.
There, it's all edited.
They've got their
just roll that back. Andre Arlane making the catch.
Well, this Stampeder organization now will have more questions than answers after this game, and certainly one will be with regards to their head coach. You heard Jock Climbing talk about it, that sooner or later, and games like this are often when the topic comes up as to the future of the head coach. And I will say this, from talking to the players, Calgary Stampeders, they believe in Jim Barker. We're not in all of the meetings, but one question should be asked: has Jim Barker had the control that he needs to run this football team from the head coach position?
Well, that was one of the gentlemen that Barker staked his reputation on, Lawrence Phillips, and Phillips started the season as the running back for the Calgary Stampeders, lasted about 3 weeks and then got hurt.
Well, you start 2-8, everybody takes a little blame, and I'm certainly not trying to make excuses for Jim Barker, because he will take some blame here for a 2-8 start. But and Lawrence Phillips, John, you're absolutely right, is one of those decisions with Kelvin Anderson and that controversy to start the season. But in the most important position is more where I'm talking about, and that is, has he had control at the quarterback position?
Well, and that has been the controversy since the season began. Marcus Crandall was number 1. McGarity makes the catch there. The owner's son, Kevin Federick, was listed as number 2, and here's what Jim Barker had to say about the unique situation he's facing. Some challenges, yes.
And it's all he can say, obviously, and there's none other like it in sports. And
meaning that he is the head coach of a team owned by Michael Federick. His son, Kevin, is the second-string quarterback, or at least listed among the quarterbacks on the team.
And in fairness to Kevin Federick, I mean, here's a young player just trying to earn a spot on the roster, and he's got to go through all of this. And
Crandall puts it on the money right there. And for
John,
Arlane again. Go.
And John, Kevin Federick may someday become a great player, but physically he's just not strong enough at this point. That's the bottom line. And whether or not Jim Barker's had the control, I'm not sure.
2:36 remaining. Crandall is still at the controls for the Stampeders.
Well, Kahari Jones is done for the night. The win is in his back pocket. Dave Dickinson is just getting warmed up. That's game 2 of our doubleheader, coming up in about 15 minutes time after this one is done in Winnipeg. Guys?
Almost done here. Stampeders have an opportunity inside the 20-yard line with a first down. A chance to make the score look a little more respectable. Marcus Crandall got some heat. Almost picked out. Harold Nash got his hands on it. Couldn't bring it down. It might not have been inbounds anyway.
I think his momentum would have taken him right out of bounds, but Crandall had to get away, get that football out of there. Again, pressure coming at him like it has all game long. But these are important reps, even though they don't have a chance to win this game for Calgary, and especially for Marcus Crandall, who's missed 4.5 weeks basically, and he needs to get in there and throw the football with the bullets flying, and they've been flying tonight.
Second and 10, Stampeders. 2:23 to go. Intercepted, picked out right on the line. Same defensive back. It's Harold Nash, who's grabbed a few in his illustrious career. Nash back in the lineup. All Canadian. 2001. And this looked easy, didn't it?
Well, it was exactly the same play with a different target. Marcus Crandall tried to look to his left. Again, he has to throw it there. He feels the pressure. And Harold Nash was standing in the exact same place he was to play before.
Don Blair was the intended receiver there. Five turnovers by the Stampeders.
I'll tell you the difference for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the last 3 weeks. Coming into this game, that defense had created 7 turnovers. They were a +5. You just saw that front. They had 5 turnovers tonight.
Charles Roberts is still in there running and running for another first down. Don't forget to vote for Player of the Game for Rogers AT&T Wireless.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you go with Charles Roberts. It's obviously going to be a bomber tonight. That defense is now a +9 in their last 3 games. That's been the difference.
Charles Roberts again. A few more votes for him all of a sudden with 1:42 to go. The Bombers are not satisfied with 52 points on the board. Pat Barnes in at the controls now, with Kahari Jones resting comfortably on the sidelines. We heard Dave Ritchie at the half, even with 42 points up on the scoreboard, being upset at the field goal that was blocked. I don't think that he can find too many areas to be concerned about in this one tonight. Mike Sellers broke 1 tackle, better than halfway to a first down. He has 7 yards.
When you put 52 on the board, a lot of those player of the game votes, you know, a lot of people automatically are thinking, well, offense. There was a lot of offense. Kahari Jones, that's another 300-yard game, and that's something that he was having problems with this year. Uncharacteristic for Jones.
10 of them last year.
Only a couple this year.
And only a couple this year, you're right.
That's his 3rd.
Playing his 100th CFL game tonight. Kahari Jones.
It was a good one.
Charles Roberts around the bend. Took a hit at the 27. It's going to be difficult for the Stampeders to keep the Bombers out of the end zone here. 51 seconds to go, and the Bombers showing no quit tonight.
A little frustration at the end of this one from Kelly Malville, who Roberts takes, you know, they get pretty good collision there, and then Roberts got up and yelled at him, and Malville just said, I don't know if you need that.
Roughness. Calgary number 3. First down.
That was a late flag on that play. Charles Roberts leads the CFL in rushing coming into this one tonight. 740 yards.
Let's keep it clean, guys.
51 seconds to go.
Well, Winnipeg will just wrap this one up, and the fans want more. Fans would love to see him use the last 47 seconds to go in again, and that would certainly be rubbing it in a little bit on the Calgary Stampeders.
Adding insult to injury to the situation in Calgary, which has at times been a circus this season, with the ownership and the chief operating officer Fred Fateri on the sidelines and talking out on open line radio shows. a guy who really has no background in football, has created a bit of a stir in Calgary.
Made it difficult.
Created a very difficult situation for the head coach.
And it's a difficult one that gets more difficult with a 52-17 shellacking. And now they have to regroup and go and play, you know, what is often the biggest game of the regular season when it's Labor Day.
They have to play the Eskimos at McMahon next weekend. Meanwhile, the Bombers go on against Saskatchewan next weekend. We'll be there for that one on Sunday afternoon, the annual Labor Day Classic of the two Prairie rivals. So we look forward to that as Labor Day arrives in the Canadian Football League. Well, more fodder for the writers in Calgary and the columnists and the open line shows. It should be an interesting week in Cowtown, to say the least.
Certainly will. All three phases of the game dominated by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and you know it is time to pick
Glenn's Gladiators. I got it now. Here you are.
And you know it's got to come from the defensive side of the ball. Now, Brian Clark, that's pretty. That was pretty. We like that. Brian Clark, guess what? You get the Gladiator for stuff like this, though. You get for hits. All the tough ones in there is when the Gladiator, right there. That's the kind of hits that you become the Gladiator. Interceptions are pretty. You get the Gladiator when you do stuff like that.
So, I mean, he doesn't get any tick marks beside his name for 2 interceptions,
no,
including 1 touchdown.
No.
He gets to be Glenn's Gladiator because
of the hits. That's why he gets it. Congratulations, Brian Clark, the Gladiator.
I love your Gladiators. That's our story from Winnipeg, and we're sticking to it.